Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice. Just me having fun looking at charts and going over data. And so this is pre-market prep for Wednesday, February 12th. I believe we have CPI, which is Consumer Price Index data coming out in about 24 minutes, starting this 6 minutes after the 8 o'clock hour. Yeah, so I just wanted to go over the usual charts, and then there is one ticker up here that I was curious to explore. I had looked at the unusual whales data last night. Nothing really stood out, but I wanted to go over the chart in more detail, so I thought I'd do it live with you guys. And so here, looking at the UVIX, as we usually start with it, which is the 2x long VIX futures ETF, did close yesterday up about 0.6%, closing at $28.50, but then coming down about 30 cents in the pre-market. And so we can see here, looking at this, that I believe that we hit kind of the month-long high over here on February 3rd. And I think that we will be pulling back to, sub 27.42, this blue line here, getting into the 27s and maybe coming all the way down to $25 a share. So that's what I'm looking for. And this line here, it does look like we have been completely rejected from that. And so I'm just going to delete that, but then flip over to the 10-minute time scale so we could kind of see what happened during market hours yesterday. And yeah, I mean, we're just kind of still hovering above 27.42 or so. We haven't really seen too much action in either the after hours or pre-market so far this morning. But with that CPI data coming out, I do think that we could be seeing a little bit of a spike in volatility, but maybe it's also a nothing burger and we see this actually cool down. So we will have to see about that. Then looking over at the VIX, this of course does not have pre-market or after hours data, as this is only traded during market hours, effectively, just being a lot of options contracts. And so, the VIX is the market volatility index, and it did close yesterday at 1602, being up 1.33%. And so this actually is kind of a nice example of how the VIX can be a better thing to trade than the UVIX, which, like I said, was only up about 0.6%. Even though this is 2x long, this is only up about half as much as the VIX. But yeah, like I said, this is mainly just options. So really just good to be considering as an indicator for what's going on in the market. And just like, what we saw over here, sorry to switch back and forth, but with the UVIX is that if I do take a step back, we see this test of this blue line over here. And, I'm thinking, maybe I could adjust this to not show the after hours and pre-market, so it'd be similar to what we see over here with the VIX. But yeah, I mean, we do have, corresponding with the same time, a dip to test that blue line on February 7th. And then if we look more at the immediate future, we can see the 11th. It looks like it began with a gap up and then kind of consolidating, forming what looks like is maybe even going back to over here. We do have a little bit of what maybe this is bullish consolidation, and this is going to break to the upside, maybe corresponding with that CPI data. But yeah, I think that either way, this is going to be breaking either to the upside or to the downside. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. And then looking over here, this is on the daily time frame. So that little pennant that I just draw, that bull flag, wedge, whatever you want to call it, is really just a consolidation over the past few days. And that is following these red candles. So this is perhaps a bear flag. So this might be breaking down to 1450 or maybe getting back to 1270 over here, the lows from December 6th, or maybe coming down to 1062 or so, which was the low, I believe, before the August 5th spike. So maybe we're going to be cooling off for the rest of February, before we get a big spike at the beginning of March. And actually, that's one thing that I did notice about the VIX. This spike over here was at the beginning of August 5th. Then over here, we got a spike. This was September 3rd. And then, maybe this is a little bit arbitrary, but just the spike over here, October 1st. And let's skip over to spike here, October 31st. So, getting towards the end of the months is when we start to see some volatility. And yeah, this spike over here was December 18th. So maybe, I'm not correct with that assessment of these spikes happening at the beginning of the month. This was the end of January over here. This was kind of the middle, December 18th of, December. So maybe we're getting ready to see a spike in the next couple weeks in the VIX. But anyways, if we flip over to the SPY, this is the S&P 500 ETF, closed yesterday at a price of $605.31, being up about 0.08%, and basically being flat in the pre-market. And so what we can see is, we're just having a tough time getting above this downtrend I drew a week ago or so. And yeah, we did close right around that line. So I'm wondering if we do see a breakout like this little line suggests, maybe get rejection from around 608 before we get a retest of that downtrend, but as support before going to new all-time highs. So that would also, correspond with the volatility index coming down if the SPY is going up. So yeah, we'll have to see about that, but this is kind of what I am thinking could be happening. Maybe it pulls back even lower, though. Maybe it finds support around the 21 day or 50-day moving averages down there. So we will have to see. Pretty interesting stuff there. Looking over at the 10-minute time frame, we can see that yesterday during the pre-market nearly got a test of this blue line here at 601.82, really just coming down a little bit below 602, hitting a low before pre-market, or during pre-market, right before market open at 601.87, and then going up higher and really, testing that downtrend. So we'll have to see, do we break above it? Very curious to see that. And then if I do flip over to the SPX, this is also S&P 500 tracking ETF. I think this one's a little bit better as far as looking at all-time highs, stuff like that. And this did close yesterday at a price of $6,068.50, effectively being flat, being up 0.03% on the day. And looking at this 10-minute time frame, we can see that it actually broke below this blue line here at $6,040.53, corresponds with a gap that was previously filled. And yeah, R did bounce up. Actually, this was on the 7th. And so if we look at the trading from yesterday, this is the start of the day on the 11th. Right here, we got a gap down, just, the opposite of what we saw with the VIX. Gap up. The SPX, we see a gap down, testing that, I guess it'd be 2,000 minute moving average is 200 simple moving average on the 10-minute time scale here. Did bounce from that moving average, finding that as support, nearly getting to this blue line at 6,040.53. And we are currently, or I should say, we were during the after hours yesterday just below that downtrend. So we'll have to wait and see if we are able to break above that, just like I was talking about with the SPY, before getting rejected, finding that downtrend then as support before finding new highs. But if we do get rejected from this downtrend, we can see this other yellow downtrend here that had acted as support. Maybe we do see kind of a massive pullback down to around $5,909, or maybe even getting down to below $5,900. Got this purple line drawn here at $5,864.89. Really just kind of approximately corresponding with the lows from over here. We did fade below it, hitting lower lows. Maybe this is a spring before bouncing higher. And so maybe we do see a pullback to maybe sub $5,900. Now, flipping over to Bitcoin, this is looking, I'm wondering if this is going to be breaking lower to around 94,000. I do have some limit buys ranging from 94,000 down to, I think, 91,000, $10, $1,000 increments, just limit buys, place them, forget about them. And, but also doing my daily $5 DCA with Bitcoin. And that does get filled at 9 a.m. Eastern. So we'll see. Maybe that's, a couple of weeks ago, that was the kind of the dip before the market opened. But lately, that has been kind of, a little bit of a peak run. And so we'll have to see. But yeah, just looking at this, I do have this downtrend drawn here. Does look like we broke below it, hitting a low yesterday on the 11th of around 94,850. And but now we are, looks like, retesting that downtrend, but now as resistance, as we got kind of a fake out break above it. And so, yeah, I am looking for perhaps a retest of the 786 here based on this retracement. That would be around $93,500. So 94 would get filled there. But if we do break below that, I'd be excited about that. We do have this purple line here that has acted as support, even getting some fake out breaks below it, some wicks below it. That's at 92,000, around 600. And so I would be pleasantly surprised if we did go down to that. But I do want to see us holding this higher lows that we have seen going back to January 13th when we hit a low of around 89,200. And then on February 2nd, we hit a low of around 91,300, higher lows. So as long as, we don't really get into the 91s too deep, we would then be holding higher lows. And maybe we even, see a retest of this yellow downtrend. So that's what I would like to see. And we'll have to wait and see what happens as we are kind of playing around that downtrend there. But yeah, now I do just want to flip over to the ticker symbol URA. This is the Global X Uranium ETF, still trading in this uptrending channel. I'm wondering, maybe we do end up filling this gap here at $30.53. That was the closing price on January 24th. If we do continue to drift higher, that will eventually happen, but maybe we get rejected from there. As you can see, I do think that this will eventually be rolling over and coming down to around 25, if not lower. Got a lot of levels drawn around 24.50, so I'm pretty curious about that. Did close yesterday at a price of $28.60, being down about 1.7% on the day. And in the pre-market, it looks like it's flat. But I guess we did kind of get a big move up and then rejection from 28.76, this yellow line drawn there. So let's see what that's based on. Yeah, just kind of like the high from over here. I think that's an important level. We did get a close above it, but then got a bearish engulfing candle. So we did not hold the gains that we had there. Then we got another close above it, then getting a higher close, but not a close above that high. So I think that's kind of an important level there. We did then get this close above that level, but then again, a close higher, or an open higher, but a close right around that level. So the closing price from February 7th was at 29.10. And then yesterday we did get a close at 29.10. Now breaking lower, continuing down, actually gapped down, but then filled that gap. And so I think this could be coming down to 25, so I'm ready for that. And then I'll be looking more closely at some other uranium or nuclear stocks. I'm pretty intrigued by them. And then, hey, Guerra, what's up? AMC to the Dame Moon, what's up? I love when all you YouTubers jump on AMC bandwagon when it pumps. It's funny AF. I've actually been covering it for, all of 2025, and I stopped covering it because I laid out my thesis, and so far it's playing out. So yeah, I mean, I'm not falling into the YouTubers doing what all YouTubers do. I'm just doing what I do. And let's see, I've got the thesis. Yeah, I was going over some DD. I actually have lost a lot of conviction in AMC. But I did put out this my 2-month AMC Theaters thesis. I'll do a follow-up TA video on AMC when either it's the thesis is invalidated or 2 months have passed, and so we're still in February, and so I'm not doing another video on that, but I can go over basically what my thesis is. My thesis was and has been for many months, talked about this for a while, but just thought I'd lay it out there and forget about it and see what happens. My thesis has been that, we've got this gap here at $2.91. And my thesis was that we would get very close to it and not fill it, because there are probably a bunch of people looking at $2.91 thinking, I'm going to wait for that gap to be filled before jumping on board. We come down to a low of $2.95. I had suggested $3.05, just being, right around $3, a little bit above it, that acting as, a good day to add or a good level to add at. We've been below it, now above 330. And so I think that, there are just going to be people waiting for 291 to get filled, and then they're going to FOMO in when this gap up here at 685 gets filled. They're going to realize at that time that they're being left behind. They don't want to be getting left behind, so they join up here, and then that sends it even higher. And in the video, my 2-month thesis, I did talk about the price getting up to, around $20 to fill this gap here, possibly getting up here, but just thinking that, $20 is kind of a reasonable level. But since we did see the announcement of dilution over here when we were trading above 5, and then we saw the announcement from our CEO that AMC sold 50 million shares at an average price of $3.68 above current price, so that's nice. But after basically 6 months of trading above 368, we don't raise capital, and basically the CEO saying that it's good to celebrate that we're raising capital at this BS low price. If the CEO thinks that the stock is worth $3.68, that we need to shore up our funding at that low price, I've lost conviction in it. And so I think it's much less likely to hit 20 if we're going to be diluting at 368. And so, I see this, yellow line here that was a great predictor I had drawn up there before this spike here. I didn't act on that, but I do wish that I would have taken some profits, at least trimmed around there. And so that's kind of what my thesis is. I think that if this gets up to the double digits, it's probably not going to hold, because we're probably going to get dumped on again. And it's just all about time frame. I don't want to be sitting in a stock for 4 years as it bleeds. I want to be trading. So yeah, that's kind of my thesis on AMC. I'm sure not a lot of people like it, but theses need to adapt to what's going on. And I in all honesty, unfortunately, I don't think the CEO has been good to us. And I don't want to waste another 4 years sitting around. There are other trades. Also been getting into options that I want to be looking at, which, unlike AMC, those videos don't get as many views. But, the YouTube algorithm is kind of focused on taking advantage of people's emotions. And that's exactly what the stock market is doing, taking advantage of people's emotions. And so when things do move, that is actually the good time to be considering trimming and, stuff like that, not FOMOing, YOLOing in. And so I'm just more interested in, other stocks, other plays that maybe are not as exciting. So this is one that I had wanted to go over, kind of had it on my list. This is on the daily time frame. I don't have any drawings up here. Wanted to go over this. This is AISP, which is Airship AI Holdings. So let's just actually read a little bit about the profile. Might go over to their website, and actually I might have a sip of coffee before it gets cold. And so let's just read about the profile here. And so Airship AI Holdings is a technology company, and the company offers artificial intelligence, AI-driven video, sensor, and data management surveillance platform that improves public safety and operational efficiency for public sector and commercial customers by providing predictive analysis of events before they occur, kind of like Minority Report, so a little eerie there. It specializes in ingesting all available metadata from edge-based sensors used by government and law enforcement agencies around the world, including surveillance cameras, video, audio, telemetry, acoustic, and seismic data, as well as autonomous devices, along with large commercial corporations with fundamentally similar capabilities and requirements. Its product suite includes Outpost AI, Edge hardware and software offerings, Acropolis Enterprise Management Software Stack, and Command family of visualization tools. Its offerings allow customers to manage their data across the full data lifecycle when and where they need it using a secure permission based architecture. And so I think this was pointed out to me by the Bronx Viking posting on X about some stocks that were running. And so, as you can see, this has gone up quite a bit recently. And I had kind of been wondering if there'd be a retest of maybe a downtrend here. Yesterday, I was looking at some options data to see if that suggested a bottom was in. Don't see that quite yet, but I did want to do some drawings to kind of, have something to pair with options data and just to have a better understanding of the company. And so what I believe the Bronx Viking, it might have been somebody else, was talking about with this is, with what's going on with the border security in the U.S., this could be a really good play. Not only would it make that more efficient, in having AI interpret and survey the border, but also that would make it more efficient, more cost effective to be doing that rather than having just an antiquated wall there that people can either cut through, climb over, dig under. Excuse me, we could actually have surveillance there. And so it doesn't matter whatever political party you're in, whether or not you think border crossings are good or bad. Clearly there's a border there, so it's something that should be maintained, especially if drugs and people are being taken across that border. And so I think it just improves safety overall wherever you're coming from, whether you're from the U.S. or abroad. The U.S. Citizenship or crossing over into it is valued because of the maintenance of these borders. And so, yeah, I find this to be a very interesting play with what's going on with the administration, the Trump administration, and I forget the border czar's name. I'm drawing a blank on it. But yeah, I mean, he seems like a pretty aggressive guy as far as keeping track of this stuff. And so I think that this could be a really nice play. Also, it seems more efficient. Also, an AI play. So, Doge, AI, all of that. And so let's see, what do the analysts say over here? Just based on two analysts, there's a strong buy and a buy. And their price targets look like this could be going up to like 850 or you can see it above my head, 850 or $11. Or I guess, sorry, the average is 850. High is 11. The lower, which I guess would be the buy analyst, it's around 6. So still, there's some nice upside potential for this. If we do look at the news, let's see, weekly reports, so nothing too exciting there. From TipRanks, analysts offer insight on financial companies and Airship Holdings. That's a paid service, so I'd have to pay or wouldn't have much access if I clicked on that. Seeking Alpha, we do see Airship AI secures follow-on 7-figure contract award with Fortune 100 customer. So that is intriguing. TipRanks again. Airship AI awarded additional 1-year system maintenance contract from Reuters. Airship AI Securities follow-on 7-figure contract award with Fortune 100 transportation and e-commerce company. And just some more information there. And what I want to look at is maybe from the profile key executives. What's the information here? I don't usually look at this. I don't know much about this here. And also, I think another thing that's important to be considering, if they have AI, if they have drones flying around or just surveillance systems, whatever this is, their market cap is less than 200 million. So it's a pretty small market cap for a company like this. And let's actually flip over to their website and let's see, AI Airship Holdings. Got that in reverse order, but let's just look at their website. I kind of want to see, is this an intriguing company website? Okay, and so yeah, it doesn't look like a too clunky of a website or anything. It looks kind of appealing. Kind of looks, I don't know, orange. Unless it's Bitcoin orange, is kind of an odd color. And so from January 31st, Airship AI secures follow-on seven-figure contract award with Fortune 100 transportation and e-commerce company. And so let's check out that press release. And so we can see here that Airship AI Holdings, a leader in AI-driven video, sensor, and data management surveillance solutions, today announced it has been awarded one-year system maintenance and sustainment contract for an existing Fortune 100 customer. I'd like to know what that customer is, leveraging the company's Acropolis enterprise video and data management platform supporting operational and physical surveillance requirements. And yep, okay. So, and then also, yeah, I'm curious to know about the people, the company info, overview, executive team. So let's look at them. Victor Huang. Victor is Airship AI's chief executive officer and chairman of the board. Mr. Huang was Airship AI's very first employee, joining in 2004, and has served on the board of directors since 2005. He brings experience as an investor, executive, and is one of Airship AI's largest shareholders. And so that's cool. But I think that founder-driven companies, that's a good sign. And he is not a founder. He joined, and he's more of an investor than a tech guy. And so before joining Airship AI, Mr. Huang was an independent trader. He also spent time working at Smith Barney as a financial consultant. So yeah, he's just more on the finance side. So not super interested in him, in all honesty. Derek Zhu is an Airship AI co-founder, so that's good. He has served as the company's chief operating officer since March of 2022 and is on the board of directors. Mr. Zhu has also spent time as Airship AI's chief technology officer, and he brings experience as an investor, director, COO, and is one of Airship AI's largest shareholders. So that's great, but I'm more interested in the tech. Before co-founding Airship AI in 2003, Mr. Zhu co-founded a web service company providing e-commerce solutions for small businesses. He has also held leadership positions at various tech companies, helping launch web-based products for financial institutions. Mr. Zhu holds a PhD in geophysics from the University of Washington. So that's great. Believe it or not, I hold a PhD, but not in geophysics. But that's also kind of maybe not necessarily related to this, just like my degree is not related to stocks. So maybe that's a little bit, I don't know, it doesn't really stand out to me. Paul Allen, I don't know if you guys are familiar with American Psycho, but Paul Allen is a pretty good name. And so anyways, Mark E. Scott, Chief Financial Officer, it's finance stuff, so not really that interesting. Let's look at Paul Allen. Paul Allen is the president, Airship's president since 2019. In previous roles with Airship AI, Mr. Allen has served as vice president of sales and as director of business development. And before joining Airship AI, Mr. Allen was a partner at a boutique firm in Northern Virginia, which provides technical goods to the U.S. government, moving on after a successful private acquisition. And during that private acquisition, that was actually for murders and acquisitions, or murders and executions. Mergers and acquisitions. Paul Allen. He also spent 14 years with IBM as a business unit executive. So very on the business side, not really on the tech side. I want to see more stuff on the tech side. And really all that we've seen is Derek Zhu. And so Mr. Allen retired from the U.S. Army, so I think that's kind of a relevant aspect of this. First Special Forces Command in 2021 with over 28 years of service, the majority of which he spent in the U.S. Army Special Forces as a Green Beret. So yeah, to be honest, I think, I don't know, did Paul Allen spell his name incorrect? Paul Allen. Let's see, so Airship AI, American Psycho. This is Paul Allen. Jared Leto. So kind of a sketchy guy. They're kind of a weird guy, but we're also kind of confused. Are they the same guy? Not really sure. Paul Allen could be a lot of people. So be careful with that name. He's a Joker. He's a Batman. We don't know. He's all over the place. Okay, so coming back to, actually, maybe I want to, before going on that tangent, I want to find somebody on the Chief Technology Officer, Yanda Ma. So let's look at Yanda Ma. He's Airship AI's Chief Technology Officer since 2022. Kind of a new placement, so would have been nice to see somebody there a little bit longer. And so Mr. Ma previously served as Airship AI's Vice President of Engineering. He has developed multiple evolutions of company products, including introducing Airship Enterprise Management and delivering innovative edge solutions such as Nexus Outpost. With more than 20 years of technology leadership in the streaming, video, and security industries, he has been awarded multiple patents for key technologies, so that's nice. Mr. Ma holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering and computer science from the University of California, Berkeley. And so this, to me, who cares about somebody having a PhD or master's degree, whatever their degrees are, as long as they got the skills. And it looks like this person has taken a bachelor's degree of electrical engineering and computer science and applied it. So I think that is nice to see. And so let's just look at, maybe want to see overview of the company. I kind of want to see what some of, their products look like. But really, maybe we don't see any of that up here. So anyways, let's switch back to the charts because I wanted to draw really just a simple trend line. I was kind of curious, there could be something like this and that we need to see a breakout. And so that is something I would like to see. So we did see the breakout, but maybe now we see a retest. So I'm wondering if this could be fading down to here before going higher, because I don't have a position and I would like to potentially be getting into one, maybe looking at options. But like I said, the options data just isn't really there yet. And so what we might want to do is, since we do see, this big, bowl coming down here, maybe this is, cup and handle right there. But what we can do is maybe draw a Fibonacci retracement from the low at 190 up to the high at 766. Just going to make sure that is lined up right there. And yeah, got that 50% retracement in the 618. So I'm intrigued by those levels. Going to make this light blue and lock it into place. And so I think that this could be coming down to sub 5. I think this could be coming down to around 478, maybe finding some support there. We do have, it looks like, getting into some tops over here that could correspond with that acting as support. But this also could be coming down to 410. So I think that there is potential for this to be pulling back, and it does look like, for the neck crack there, it is down about 4% in the pre-market after being down over 5% yesterday. And and then another thing we can do, a little bit more of a micro Fibonacci retracement, just going from the low that was hit on the 3rd, which was at a price of, let's see, $3.93, going up to the high that was hit on, let's see, the 10th on Monday, which was at a price of $6.12. So just going to get that lined up. And yeah, the 618 there Does match pretty well with this more longer term 50% retracement. So there's kind of a confluence of levels there. So I like that, but maybe it doesn't come down to that level. Maybe it just is a 50% retracement, and that would be around $5. So that is something I would be looking for. I'm just going to make sure 393 was the low and 612 up there. I'm going to add the 786 just to kind of add, the intermediate level there between 478 and 410. Got a level there at 440 or maybe right around 450. And so I think there could be some nice dip buying opportunities associated with this, especially with this breakout, then looking for a retest. And so, yeah, and also, another thing that we can draw with this is an uptrend from over here. That does also look fairly compelling, I must say. Maybe make that thick, lock that into place. But maybe I want to make this, what color do I want to make that? It's not light green. Maybe I want to make it just yellow right there. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of potential for this to be pulling back. And when it does pull back, or maybe this is it, 520 in the pre-market, we could actually switch over to the 10-minute time frame to look at that kind of a, dump in the pre-market, probably associated with the CPI data. So we'll have to look over at that in a second. But yeah, I think that there's going to be a good opportunity to buy this, and I'm going to be patient. I could place an alert at $5. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait for 478, create an alert at 4.78 corresponding with that 50% retracement from this longer time frame. You can see that level there, and I want that alert to be when we hit below it. So I'll be alerted when we do go below it, and then I will look to some options data to see if, yes, Sean, what's up? CPI, I imagine it came in hot. So I just wanted to look over at the contract here. So this is a contract that I'm intrigued by, AISP $12 strike. That expires in January. Didn't have much volume, any volume really yesterday. And so far today, the market's not open. But $12, why do I think $12? Because we saw high up here around 1432 on nearly 15 in the highest strike for January. If we do look at calls, is going to be $12. So that's why I have that one, because 15 wasn't an option for these options tables. And so, yeah, I'm just going to expand the data from over here. What we can see is that the net call premium in green was up on the day, did dip below the red line here, which is just a net put premium, but was not negative at all yesterday, except maybe just a little bit over here. Yeah, net call premium down by 105 there. But overall, it stayed positive and ended the day positive, going up by about $5,000. Whereas net put premium went up by only $2,000. You can see that red line actually being negative for a portion of the day, but then going up. And overall, we did see, it looks like, a decrease in the volume of contracts by about 168 contracts being sold, but net put and call premium did go up. But since net call premium was more than double net put premium, we can see, if we look over at the bear bull slider, that it was more in the favor of the bulls, but only by about 44%, with this neutral being here. If that was all bearish in the neutral zone, then that would be a majority on the bearish side, not the bullish side. But we do see that more calls were being bought than puts, or more premium going into calls than puts, I should say, since we did have a negative volume on the day. This, I would say, the neutral is more going to be in the favor of the bulls, so this is looking more bullish. But if we look at the kind of historical data, I'm going to go back 2 weeks and then look over the past month. We can see that, yeah, net call premium has been up. So on, let's see, Friday, the 7th of last week, we do see that net call premium went up by 81,000. So, not that much money Nothing too unusual because 81,000 below 100,000. It's not a lot of money. And versus net put premium came down by about 12.65 thousand on that day. So that was overall like a bullish day. And then here again on Monday, we see net call premium go up by 60, almost 4,000, whereas net put premium came down by about 63,000. And so that is also bullish, suggesting that bears are selling, bulls are buying. But over here, we did see some bulls selling. Net call premium came down by about 60,000. But on that day, net put premium came down by only $205, not $1,000, just $205. And so that was a lot of selling of calls and puts. So that was actually kind of a bearish day. And so I don't think that there's just enough data here to really say that, bulls are super on board because it's less than 100,000. And so nothing too crazy just yet. If we do look over the past 30 days, what we want to see is kind of trends changing. And so like over here, just barely on the chart here, we do have net call premium increasing from December 30th by over $900,000, nearly $1 million. And so that is something that we kind of want to see. We want to be seeing net call premiums increasing by hundreds of thousands. And we saw that 30 trading days ago. We want to see that more recently. And relative to that spike, it's been kind of muted, but more recently we do have spikes in call volume by 245,000 over here, over 100,000. So that's good. That's probably what we're going to be having to compare to when we start to see some spikes in the future. But we also will have, after this shifts over, we will still have data from, it looks like January 5th, or sorry, this was January 3rd. Net call premium went up by over 400,000. So that's what we want to start seeing. Even though, when this net call premium was going up, we saw the stock price in yellow going down. And so just because we see net call premium going up, because it's not millions and millions of dollars, it's not necessarily whales. Following that, we can see stock price came down. And so we want to see kind of the stock price starting to break out. And we're really just kind of getting retests. And we need to see a retest, I should say. And so once I start to see whether stock price coming down to around 478, starting to see maybe more some bullish data from unusual whales, then let's see this start to go. And speaking about, from Sean mentioning the CPI data, let's look over at the SPY pre-market. This is down about 1%, about $5. And so we can see on the 10-minute time frame, CPI data, boom, dump right there. Could be a nice dip buying opportunity, though. We do see the UVIX spiking up, getting up to right around 30. And I have to say I am no longer holding any UVIX because I'm waiting for a dip down to 27. I missed out on making, a couple bucks here. That's fine. No big deal. Bitcoin, let's see. I'm going to have a buy get filled in about 12 minutes. So I am happy that this is coming down below 95,000. If it does come down to a low, let's say 93,500, then I'd have a limit order filled at around 94. So I'd be happy about that as well. Airship AI was just talking about that this seems like it's coming down some. But 520. So let's look over at information from over here. Gonna have notification from Gareth Soloway, I imagine. Markets in panic mode initially after CPI comes in much hotter than expected. CPI month over month is 0.5% versus 0.3% forecasted. So higher inflation, that's not as good month over month. Whereas if we look at year over year, it's still higher, 3.0% versus 2.9% forecast. So hello, inflation. Yields are spiking to around 4.6%. And so we might be seeing, in my view, some dip buying opportunities associated with this. So do keep that in mind. And yeah, let's see. I'm actually curious because of this. Intel went on kind of a rampage yesterday. That's still up 6% up to 22. Dang. Yeah, I sold some calls on this yesterday at a 20% profit. Could have sold at a 40% profit. But it is what it is. I'd like to buy if it does dip down to 20, but I don't necessarily see that happening. And yeah, I still have some longer dated calls and some shares. But yeah, I'm just chilling on this. I'm excited about it. I think that Intel is just beautiful. And, while it'd be nice to still be holding some of those shorter dated calls, I do have longer dated ones, I believe with a strike of 50 expiring in January. And yeah, I just think this is going to go on a rampage. And so I'm happy to be holding those calls. And if I do end up selling those calls, I still have some shares. I think only 4, so not a lot of money on it. But I can, without emotion, be holding those. Maybe we get rejected here and pull back. Maybe I can add more back here if it does pull back. But if it doesn't, I can just hold them up to, getting back to whether, it's 50 up here. I think it could be going even higher. And so, this is just going to be a long-term hold for me. So I'm really excited about that while swinging calls. So happy there as well. I might also pull up Tesla because I did go over the chart yesterday. And this is basically flat on the pre-market. And this is the day. Oops, this is not right. That's TLSA. I want Tesla. Maybe I'm a little bit dyslexic, as I think we all can be. Sometimes our fingers get a little bit excited. Tesla is up 1%. And so, yeah, this is something that was actually talked about by, let's see, I'm going to go over to the posts. I did share this watching now. This is awesome. This is from Free Wyckoff's Rico going over the Tesla chart. Long term just looks super, super good. So I am just loving that analysis that he does. But what I could see is I could see this ultimately coming down to around 270. Maybe not, though. Maybe it just dips to around 300. And so I have a very, very small position. I'm just going to be adding fractions of shares. One thing, though, that I was considering is, I do have this alert that I placed here after making my video last night at 3:15. If this does come down to 3:15, I could see a bounce like this before coming down to, maybe 300 or 290 or so to test this uptrend. And, rather than, getting shares here, what I was thinking about doing is maybe going with TSLL, which is 2x, or I believe this is 2x. Yeah, 200%. The performance of Tesla. And it's not terribly expensive. So, rather than buying, fractions of shares of Tesla, getting my average up in doing that, I'd still like to do that, but at technical levels. But with TSLA, I have this alert here. I might actually put an alert at, let's say 16, in case it doesn't come down to that 200-day moving average at, 1502 there. This might be a nice one to swing. So maybe getting, let's see, a bounce from this level if it goes a little bit lower, and then maybe going up to the moving averages there. And so that would be a very nice swing in my view, just taking a measurement from that level up to here. That's about a 70% swing. So that's something that I would be very interested in. Potentially swinging this rather than just accumulating Tesla, which is one that, I'm not going to sell. TSLL is one that I would swing. But yeah, maybe we're getting a little bit of a bounce before this happens, so maybe I miss out on a little bit of that dip. But anyways, I don't think I have too much else to talk about here, and I might just get myself ready to tune into some other videos. So I might just go over to my subscription so you can see some of the stuff that I might be watching today. Gareth Soloway, he does have the major trade setups and levels as CPI inflation data hits. This is going to be streaming in about 5 minutes. This is Central Time, so it's probably 9 a.m. Eastern. So this is probably one that I'll watch just to kind of see some levels. He's going over stocks, Bitcoin, gold, silver, S&P 500, all of that. So that is one that's definitely good to be checking out. And then over here, I'll probably watch this a little bit more casually. I'm not sure who this person is, but he's been on before. And this is Scott Milker talking about Bitcoin plunges on shocking CPI report. Is the crash just beginning? I hope so. Good to be ready for the dips. So we're even more ready for the rips. I just always want to be accumulating Bitcoin. And and then also, this is one that just came out 7 minutes ago from Richard Newton, talking about patience. He talks a little bit about a Bible verse, which I'm not religious. Maybe that's for you, maybe it's not. I don't tend to pay attention necessarily when he talks about the Bible verse. Also talks about Pokemon. Happy that he supports GameStop and stuff. But he really just goes over some data, and he's talking about patience here. So that might be a good one to check out if you're interested in GameStop. And on that note, maybe I want to close on GME. And this one is down 0.7% in the pre-market after coming down 2% yesterday. And one thing that I had talked about, so on Monday, I had added to my call positions above $1 per premium, which is a no-no. But I was just seeing that, hey, there's some data starting to come to life with unusual whales. So maybe something's happening, but I could really just see this coming down to Roaring Kitty's average at 23.41, also corresponding with this uptrend. Something that, Colin Gladman was talking about was a bounce from the 200-day moving average. We did see that, but it could be a dead cat bounce, not a Roaring Kitty bounce, but a dead cat bounce. And so with that being said, I think that we could be seeing some more opportunities down here. 23.41, maybe even coming down to this purple uptrend around 22 or 21.69. So I think that there is going to be some good opportunities right in this range here. And so that is, what I am really excited about. That is, I think, what we should all be bracing for, and that not being a bad thing. Good to get more shares, more contracts cheaper before the next big moves up, and I think that we will be seeing that. And I might actually adjust this box to those levels specifically. So 23.41, 23.41, and then 0.1 over here, 21.69. And so that is kind of that window that I'm seeing there. I think that there's going to be some very nice opportunities. And about 2 minutes before the hour strikes, or the little hand strikes the 12. So I might end the stream now so we can get on with our days and get ready for the market to open. But anyways, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more pre-market preps every day before market opens, whether they're live streamed or recorded before I head to work. And also, I'm going to try to do a video every day in the evenings, so look forward to that. Also, not only going over the charts, but also options data and more information like that. So hopefully there's some value for you guys, because there's definitely value for me. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching and have a great day trading. Take care, you guys.